How often should you learn a new piece? So that's an interesting question. It depends also how much you can handle. I have a student who's um, I have a student who studies with me and also another teacher as well, and we do two different programs. And he learns about he's fast. He learns like lightning. I'd say he learns about 12 pieces a year. So if you have really good sight reading, you can definitely do more. If you're very advanced and aiming for a professional level, then, you might have a 1 hour program that you do in 1 year is not even a lot, right? Well, that's kind of what you do when you're doing let's say a doctorate here. But the reality in life, you end up doing, if you're a professional pianist, you might end up doing 4, 5, 6 programs a year, even, especially with chamber music that you don't have to memorize. I find memorizing complicated, difficult works takes a long time. So, for me, I learned these list pieces. Um, Took a couple of months. They're not that difficult for my level, let's say. So after a couple months, I was getting ready to perform them, and of course, then I perform them and keep working on them and refining them. This Rachmaninoff sonata just kind of took me forever. I find it very challenging to put together. Uh, and that's kind of done. So I'm really excited because now I know the whole thing by heart. It's just refining it, putting it together, making it as cohesive as possible. And that took me a long time. I wasn't always practicing this, really not. It was really sporadic on and off. But overall, I'm not done with it. I'm never going to be done with it, but I'm not ready to perform it, to go back to the other question. I'm not at that point where, by heart, I could perform the whole thing with the music in front of me, no problem. But by heart, getting there, I'd be ready in a week right now. So, but that one I've been at for almost a year. So you see, there's some I would look at short-term projects. So pieces that you can learn in, let's say, a week, and then pieces that you can learn in a month, maybe, or 2 or 3, and then pieces that are really challenging and long, and they're going to take you 6 months, let's say 6 to 10 months. A year is really long. You have to be committed to stick to something for a year to learn it, but that's good. So, some people, I had a student ask me those questions before and say, well, then is it a fable, about these pianists who learn a piece in like 2 weeks? It depends on the piece. It's not, there are some pianists who will do that, and, I'll do that with maybe a Beethoven sonata. I'm not going to play it very well after a week or two, but I think I can play it good. It's just not like at a really competitive level with a deep understanding of the piece, because you have to live with the music as well. Kind of like live your life while you know this music, and sit with it for a while, and it has to marinate is another way of looking at it. So think of it that way. Pieces that are maybe like 2 levels easier than your level that you should be able to learn in a week, maybe 2, maybe a month if they're more complicated. I think that's great because it makes you read new music all the time and increase your sight reading level. Then you have kind of like normal pieces that you take maybe 3 months to learn, let's say 3 to 5 months to learn, something like that. And then pieces that, if you're really motivated and committed, because you have to stick with it and have a good method of going about breaking down this big piece that's going to take you maybe 6 to 12 months to learn, and break it down into little steps that are manageable for you. So I would look at it kind of like that. How often should you learn a new piece? There you go. So taking into account that, if you tackle the easy pieces as well, that are like 2 levels easier for you for your sight reading, well, you're learning a new easy piece every month. That's very good for your sight reading. And then if you're just kind of not counting those because they're too easy for you, then I suppose you're throwing in a new piece every 4 months or so. There's no real clear-cut answer to that question.